guys, good morning. It is Tuesday, September 10th. Thank you so much for joining us for our little update here. You can weigh in on all the stories that we're covering today. Just remember to leave your comments and questions below. We will come back to those, answering some of them on here, and then I'll try to jump back online in a little bit. Right after this, I have to run into a class to learn a little more about Photoshop because I'm a weirdo and I like that stuff. But after that, we'll go back through those. Brandon's running the computer over here, so he'll keep an eye out for your comments. Our first story is one that we haven't talked about on here, but I think maybe in our later updates yesterday you did, but it's still one of the top things that you guys are clicking on and sharing on because it's really just a worst case scenario for a first responder. Maybe you heard about that crash involving the country singer. Her name is Kylie Rae Harris. Well, when EMTs and first responders got on the scene, this is in New Mexico, of the crash, investigators say caused by this woman, Kylie Rae Harris. The victim in that crash was a 16-year-old who was in another car, Maria Elena Cruz, and her dad, Pedro, was one of the EMTs who arrived on scene. You can imagine just the absolute heartbreak of that moment, that realization. As far as the investigation into this crash, investigators are trying to figure out if alcohol was involved. They say evidence at the crash scene suggested it might have been. They do say that Harris was the one to blame. It looks like she clipped a truck and then veered into oncoming traffic, and that's when she hit the 16-year-old Maria Elena Cruz. So there's a lot more to come out there. You can read up more about Maria Elena on our Facebook page and on khou.com. We have a full write-up there. Also, this is a story I did not think would be as uplifting as it was when we first aired it this morning. Do you remember back on the 4th of July, there was a road rage incident involving a family. A suspect fired into their truck. It was loaded with fireworks. They had just picked a bunch up and it sparked this fire inside their truck. Well, the two boys who are 1 and 2 years old were badly burned and they're recovering in Galveston. But take a look. I mean, you can still see the burns, but they are up, they are walking, they are smiling, they are playing. And it hasn't been easy. We talked to mom and dad, and there's a write-up on khou.com, kind of the challenges that have come from that. But look, that's the surveillance video from the gas station. So what we know is that on the 4th of July, it sounds like dad accidentally cut off the driver in the other car, and the other car pulled up next to him. They exchanged words. That other driver is Bayron Rivera, and Rivera pulled alongside the family's car and shot into it in the gas station parking lot there. Just absolutely horrifying, and it's going to be a long road of recovery for these two little boys, but thank goodness that they made it out okay, and they have parents who are there supporting them, and we wish them well after everything that they've been through. We're popping up to North Texas now to a story that's kind of funny and kind of frustrating, because there's this 95 man up there. His name's Albert Bigler. Here you see him driving the lawnmower at the church where he volunteers. Here's the thing, he's not supposed to drive anything else because Albert, even though he's had his driver's license for like 65 years, can't renew his because he can't find his birth certificate. So he was born outside of Dallas in an area that's now incorporated into like 5 different counties. He's reached out to the different counties. His friends have reached out to the different counties. They've gone to Austin, but they can't find any birth certificate for him. And with the Real ID now that you need here in Texas, you got to get that gold star to go through TSA. He can't get his license. So he's trying to figure out a way to get that document so that he can get his license renewed. He says he does still drive his pickup around Ennis, that's the town where he lives, but he'd like to be able to do it legally. So you can read the whole interview with Albert Bigler, or you can watch the interview with Kevin Reese. He used to be a reporter here at KHOU. He always does a great job with these. So pop on to KHOU.com and watch that story. And then finally, this Friday, Friday the 13th is unlucky enough, right? Well, add to that a little full moon, harvest moon. This Friday, this is a video not of the harvest moon, obviously. I think this is the last full moon we had. But it's called the harvest moon because it's closest to the autumnal equinox. Also, the full moon this month is going to be at apogee, which means it's farthest from Earth. So it will look smaller. Actually, we're not even going to notice a difference, but scientists say it's about 14% smaller. And getting a full moon on Friday the 13th happens about every 20 years. And I always hear stories from my friends who are like nurses or doctors who work in the ER, and they say a full moon is crazy. Can you imagine a full moon on Friday the 13th? Like every woman in Houston who is expecting is going to go into labor, all the crazy stuff that's going to happen. At least Brandon, you and me, we are off the clock by the time this thing hits the sky. So yeah, that's good news there. Forecast from Cheetah, pretty similar to yesterday. It's going to be about a 20% chance of showers, highs in the mid-90s. That's it. That's all I got. What do we got in comments, Brandon?
I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of our viewers. Good morning to Rosie and Sylvia. You guys reached out. A quick shout out to Rosie, who says Photoshop is awesome.
Photoshop is awesome. The entire Adobe suite is awesome, but I know the basics. Like I can do some things that I learned when I worked in video production for a hot minute, but we have a couple of pros here who are giving us some tips and tricks. So I'm excited. So watch for my stories that are coming up because I have a really bad habit of like getting all these new tools in my toolbox and then I start a new project and I'm like, look at all the things I can do, and I dump it out. So I will try to edit myself and pare it back, but I make no promises.
We do have a question from, let me find it really quick. Ken. Ken is asking, I think, about the accident involving the country singer. He wanted to know where exactly the accident happened. I know it's in New Mexico.
Yeah, it's just outside of Taos, New Mexico. I want to say she was 38 miles from the nearest gas station is what she had tweeted out or shared on social media a couple hours before the crash. That the singer, Kylie Ray Harris, she was 36 miles from the nearest gas station, but it doesn't say where. She was in Taos to perform at a music festival there. And it's worth noting that she has a previous DWI conviction in Collin County, Texas. Was supposed to install an interlock device, one of those breathalyzer machines on the steering wheel. And we don't know. At least we don't have it in the write-up whether that was the case on this or whether it was a rental. But that community was pretty shocked to lose, the 16-year-old. It's very sad.
Yeah, and wrapping it up, just to bring it back to something a little lighter, a couple of people are sounding off on just how horrible Friday the 13th is. We're going to bring out the crazies, worst night for the hospitals, stay inside, that kind of thing. So
that's why someone say don't go on the roads in Houston. Yeah. Houston drivers are already crazy. Can you imagine what they're going to be like on a full moon Friday the 13th? It's totally superstitious, but I'm telling you, if you work in a hospital and you have the same experience my nurse friends have, you know. So we'll have another update coming up at 2:15 this afternoon. You can tune in for more news and weather then. For now, I'm going to go pop into that class, and I'll respond to your comments in a little bit. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.